YouTube, with the 2024 NBA offseason happening seemingly in a blink of an eye, and with many teams making a ton of moves, I think the verdict's still out on the court of public opinion as far as how good some of these teams will be in 2025. In this video, we're going to talk about the most popular team in the NBA, the LA Lakers. I'm going to explain in this video why I think the Los Angeles Lakers are going to be much better than everyone expects, and maybe even you guys watching this video right now. It's no secret that the Lakers have had a up and down last 5 years, right? You win the championship in 2020, so obviously an up, right? 2021, you get the injury bug, you end up losing to the Suns in the first round. 2022 was an absolute disaster. You missed the playoffs entirely. 2023, everything looked pretty bad until the trade deadline, and then you make a miraculous Western Conference Finals run, but you end up running into the Denver Nuggets, the NBA champs, and you get swept in the conference finals. 2024 comes around, and again, similar to this season, people weren't really sure how good the Lakers could be that year. They end up having a pretty good season and a pretty healthy season, but they run into a wall in the first round of the Western Conference Finals, and that wall being the Denver Nuggets once again. Now, you might look at the roster and say, D-Have, they haven't made nearly any moves in 2025. How is this team who lost in the first round to the Nuggets going to be much better than they were last year without any, massive additions or massive trades, massive signings, right? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. We're going to start by covering every move the Lakers have made this offseason, and then we're going to do some roster inventory, and then I'm going to explain throughout that process why I think the Lakers will be much better than you think. This is why the Lakers are underrated going into the Western Conference in 2025. Let's talk about it, folks. So as I mentioned, here are the offseason moves the Lakers have made. First one, in my opinion, the biggest one being signing new head coach JJ Redick after firing previous head coach Darvin Ham. I know Lakers Nation was super upset with Darvin Ham. It didn't seem like he was maybe the best coach fit for that team. Again, I'm not in the locker room and I'm not a Lakers fan, so I don't know everything, right? But what I do know is that even just me watching, the Lakers games that I do, which is, I guess, a good chunk of them, I could tell you that Darvin Ham maybe wasn't the right guy for that job, right? And that's, we're going to be nice in this video. JJ Redick, a media personality and a former NBA elite shooter. This guy's never coached in the NBA. How is he going to step in and change everything with the same roster Darvin Ham had? Well, if you know anything about JJ Redick, and I like to think I do, he was on my 76ers. I watched all his podcast stuff. He's a good announcer for the ESPN program. I think JJ Redick might be the perfect guy for this job, and I also think he is going to make an exceptional NBA head coach. No question about it. This is one of the smartest basketball minds I've seen. He also has shown a ton of ability to be able to communicate with players and younger players specifically very, very well. I think JJ Redick's communication style, his incredibly high basketball IQ and passion for the game and the ins and outs of the X's and O's, and his relationships with some of the players already are going to make the Lakers insanely different in 2025, culture-wise and playstyle-wise. People really underrate how much a good coach can have an impact on the same team as a bad one, right? The example I would give you is, remember when Mark Jackson was the coach of the Golden State Warriors and then Steve Kerr takes over and they become what they are now, a 4-time championship dynasty? Remember when Nick Nurse took over the Raptors? They won in the same year that he was hired. These are two examples of coaches changing life in their respective city and team. I think JJ Redick is the next guy to be doing that in the NBA. So that's first offseason move. I know I talked about it quite a bit, but that is the biggest one and clearly the one that is going to define the Lakers season one way or another. I think it's going to be majorly positive for LA. They really haven't done anything in free agency, but they draft Dalton Connect in the first round, which was an absolute steal, and he's looked like a really good shooter in the summer league. In his first game, hitting 5 of 11 on threes. This guy is a shooter and a sniper off the ball that can play really well to surround guys like LeBron and AD. Historically, we know that if you surround LeBron with shooters, good things happen, and I think this is an example of that. Dalton Connect's going to fit really well with this team. You also draft Bronny James. We'll have to see how that works out. Maybe he'll spend some time in the G League. Maybe he'll be a, rotation guard. I doubt that he'll play much important minutes this season for the Lakers, but I hope I'm wrong. I'm rooting for Bronny. I'm a big fan of his dad, so we're going to support Bronny as well. So again, there's a lot of Lakers fans that are upset. They want a big trade to happen. LeBron wants a third star, there's rumors about, and they just haven't been super active on the market, right? For one, they don't have a ton of assets to play around with, but two, I think just hiring JJ Redick again is a bigger change than you can make regardless of any of the moves in free agency, right? The ceiling raising ability of a great coach is going to be something Lakers fans aren't thinking about right now, and I think that is the most important thing to keep in mind. mind here. So I think what the Lakers' plan is probably is to throw this roster out there and give it a couple months, see what JJ Redick's able to do with this roster in a couple months. And then, if you see something that's maybe not working with a certain, lineup player or whatever, then you make a trade. But I think it is important to keep things going the way they are right now with the roster until there's a reason to change it under the new coach. So those are the offseason moves basically in a nutshell. I mean, you lose Taurean Prince. There's a couple other little things that have happened, but those are the most notable ones. Now it's time to take some inventory of the Lakers roster. One thing I want to note before we do the inventory of the roster and the deep dive on their roster, I just want to say, as far as offseason moves, there are a couple that I didn't mention that are basically newly acquired players, right? And one of them being Gabe Vincent, who only played a handful of games last season, who you signed to a long-term contract to be a guard rotation player to replace Dennis Schroeder. You're basically getting Gabe Vincent on this team for nothing, right? Like, that's basically an acquisition because, like I said, he was injured last year, and when he did play, he wasn't healthy or right, and he didn't play well at all. So you're basically getting a new backup point guard, right? So that's number one. It's basically like an acquisition. The other one is Jared Vanderbilt, who was injured the majority of last season as well. You're basically getting those two guys back. So in a way, you added two role players without giving up anything on the market. So that is something I will mention. Now let's get into the 2024-2025 Los Angeles Lakers roster and what I, think about each player. So no question about it, we have to start at the top of the roster, and that is the greatest player of my generation and maybe of all time, you could make a case for, and certainly the second best if you're not going to say he's the best, and that is LeBron James, right? In his, I believe, 22nd season he will be entering this year. He'll be 40 years old by the time the playoffs start. And, it's been said a million times, been beat to death in the media. I don't want to talk about it too much, but just his ability to remain as good as he is for this long, it's unprecedented in almost any sport ever. The things he's done at this age is unreal, and there's no reason to doubt that he'll be able to do them next season. It's just the way it is. He's going to be the same as he was last year, in my opinion. And also, last year, you could argue that his best shooting season of his career happened, shooting over 40% on good volume. This is your best player, and the Lakers will only really go as far as LeBron takes them to some degree, right? You could say it's a 1A, 1B type situation, though, with another all-time great player, Anthony Davis. And the reason I think, one of the things JJ Redick is going to do so well at, I watched his full 47-minute interview press conference with the Lakers the day he got hired. One of the things he talked about and has talked about is AD being a hub of the offense. And that immediately triggered in my mind, this guy knows exactly what he's doing, JJ Redick, because this is something I've been thinking for a long time, that Anthony Davis has been underused on offense the right way. I think, under Darvin Ham and to some extent Frank Vogel, I think AD was used in more of a passive role offensively. And what I mean by that is he wasn't necessarily a focal point of the offense a lot of times. This is not the best way to use AD. This is, getting pennies on the dollar for what he can give you. And I think JJ Redick is certainly going to figure that out. That's one of the first things he said about improving this team. And immediately I understood, he knows what he's doing, because think about some of the big men in this league and that have been successful, right? Jokic, he's an offensive hub. The ball goes through him almost every possession. That's how you end up getting the best possession you can on offense, right? I know it's a little different with the Lakers because they have LeBron James, but they could honestly use them in similar ways in this regard, being a hub for the offense, put them in different spots than they've been as of late with the Darvin Ham coaching and scheme and strategy, right? But AD is a good passer. He is a, capable playmaker. He's one of the most talented offensive big men I've ever seen. And there are certainly things you could be doing to make him a hub of the offense, similar to a Bam Adebayo, a Joel Embiid, or a Nikola Jokic. You think about all the big men that are successful right now as the number one option. This is something the Lakers just haven't done as much with AD, and I think it's going to be a massive leap as far as, the future goes for this team offensively. Another thing to note is the shooting, right? You now have a ton of good shooters that you can surround him with, and that's the biggest key, in my opinion, for making a big man the hub of the offense. So that is something definitely worth noting with AD. Obviously, again, the big man of the team, maybe 1A, 1B if you want to say with LeBron. I don't think necessarily he's the best player on the team. I think it's really close between him and Bron, but he is an all-time great player and an all-NBA caliber player every single season. DPOY candidate last year and every year. There's not enough good things you can say about Anthony Davis. Your third best player is disputed. I mean, some people say D'Lo, some people say Austin Reeves. I personally think it's Austin Reeves. I mean, he could just do a little bit more things than D'Lo, in my opinion. While D'Lo does things well offensively, the things that he does, again, he does very well, but Austin Reeves is a little more versatile, right? He can handle the ball, he can pass, he can shoot pretty well, he can self-create from the mid-range really well, he can get to the basket, he's a dog. I'm not saying he's the best defender, but he does give effort, and he's just a really, again, versatile piece offensively that I think can really do most things pretty decently. I don't think Austin Reeves does necessarily any one thing like elite, but I think he does a lot of things really above average. So to me, that's your third best player. He's got to be the number 3 option. And in fourth, you have a guy like D'Lo, who is just a bucket. I know he's been a little inconsistent for the Lakers, and the fans aren't happy with that, but he is returning on that player option. But there were times throughout last season, you got to admit, Lakers fans, that he was absolutely hooping out. It was right after the LeBron trade rumors circled about how the Lakers wanted to trade D'Lo. Again, you got to admit D'Lo was hooping out during that time. But if he can look anything like that D'Lo for most of the season, I think you have an offensive star. But if he kind of disappears from time to time like he's been doing, it really makes you rely on other guys like Austin Reeves and some other pieces you have, and it really only makes LeBron and AD's job harder, right? So I like D'Lo as a player. I think he's a little bit inconsistent, but when he's on, he is elite at creating shots from the perimeter, good playmaker, and he can just do things offensively that not a lot of players can do off the dribble, right? So you got to love D'Lo as the fourth option on this team, maybe the third option at times when he's rolling. Hopefully he can stay a little bit more consistent. Now, Rui Hachimura is, again, another guy that I think could take a step up this season under Coach Redick. I mean, this guy is a bucket, got a lot of good mid-range. JJ Redick has talked about how, he wants Rui to take more threes, and I kind of agree with that. I think Rui's a pretty efficient shooter on a lot of levels, primarily catch and shoots, but he's a big body. He's a strong guy, right? And he competes defensively, and I think, offensively, this is a guy that you can give the ball to in a pinch, and he can get a bucket, right? So I like the idea of Rui taking more threes this season. I think he's a pretty good shooter, and I think that creates a lot of, attacking closeouts off the dribble capabilities. This is a big man, right? He's forward size, right? Like 6'7" maybe. Got a big body too, good strong frame to him. So I think if he can, make a lot of those 3-pointers, get the defender out, and he is a candidate to be a really good attacking closeouts guy. If the shot isn't something he loves, he can, take it off the dribble, pull up from mid-range, or take it to the basket. He's just a really strong guy that has a lot of offensive talent. A complementary piece that is this good offensively is rare, and you gotta love Rui for that reason. Max Christie is a shooter that I think could make a lot of improvement in 2025. I mean, Max Christie signed a big extension, I believe it was 4 years, $32 million. This is a guy the Lakers really like, and they've been developing. He is a really good pure shooter, right? Now, his numbers might not look too crazy. I think, he has had a little bit of up and downs throughout his career. Got a little bit more playing time last season, ended up playing 67 games, I believe, on kind of an inconsistent role, but he did, was featured in that lineup at times. And if I'm Rob Pelinka, I'm signing him to that contract, there's a lot that we probably don't know about Max Christie that the Lakers really like. Again, he's a young guy, I believe he's 21 years old, and a lot of shooting upside. So look out for him to be a sharpshooter for the Lakers in 2025 and take a leap in minutes as well. Jalen Hood-Schifino is another interesting project piece. I think this is a guy that probably has the best chance on your roster to be a really solid rotation piece in the NBA. I mean, he was a high draft pick. He is a big guard. He is 6'5", 215, and he's a defender too. That's what I like about Hood-Schifino. He gives you a different look from the backcourt. Right now, you're working with guys like Austin Reeves, D'Lo, Gabe Vincent's a pretty good defender, but I think Hood-Schifino is kind of a two guard, and I'd be interested to see if he could even play the three a little bit on undersized threes. But he's a defender, and I think JJ Redick will really emphasize development and player development programs that the Lakers have talked about a lot with these apron issues. Now player development is imperative, and the Lakers need to start working with guys like Jalen Hood-Schifino, get him ready to take that next leap, right? This is a highly drafted player, and there's a lot of talent there, clearly. So interesting to see what his role is, if any, next season with the guards on this team. Again, he is a different guard than they really have in terms of size and skill set, so that'll be interesting. Cam Reddish returns for the wing. I like Cam Reddish a lot. I think he's another really good defender that can get in passing lanes, create a lot of havoc in those passing lanes. That's what he's best at, making plays, making steals. I think if he ups his 3-point shooting just a little bit efficiency wise, if he can up his catch and shoots from the corner, things like that, I think he could be a 20-minute per game player. This is a really solid defender from the wing that if you can count on a consistent catch and shoot around league average, or somewhere between 36 to 40%, I don't know how you take him off the floor and not have him play over 20 minutes per game. He's that good defensively. So we mentioned the two big people returning, right, that are I guess you could say veterans at this point. They're young veterans, but they are veterans. Gabe Vincent and Jared Vanderbilt. These are two defenders. Gabe Vincent, you signed from the Miami Heat last season. He was hurt the most of the season, and when he did play, he wasn't healthy in my opinion, and also didn't play well. So if you could get any positive value from Gabe Vincent, it is a bonus from last season. Not only that, if he's anything like he was with Miami, you have to make him your sixth man. I mean, this is a guy that is going to take a lot of shots from 3-point range, and he can take some off the dribble, and he's an absolute fiery competitor on defense, right? This is a guy that probably your best defensive backcourt member at this moment, maybe other than Hood-Schifino if everything works out there. there. I mean, Gabe Vincent's an absolute dog. He's undersized, but that has never been an issue for him with Miami. If you put him in the right positions, he will make things happen defensively. He will hound ball handlers on the point of attack and disrupt the ball handler, the point guard, right? He is just an absolute dog. Think of similar kind of defensive skill set to like a Jose Alvarado. Undersized, but he is just an absolute pest on the ball. I think Gabe Vincent is going to have a comeback season with LA, and I think it's going to shock a lot of Lakers fans how good he really is, because I think they've been kind of disappointed with him so far, obviously. Jared Vanderbilt, one of the more skilled defenders on this team, maybe the most skilled defender on this team. It'll be interesting to see how they use Jared Vanderbilt. You know, I know in the Darvin Ham first year, when they made that Western Conference Finals run, you know, it was tough to keep Jared Vanderbilt on the floor for a long period of time because of his lack of shooting. There are clearly ways around that if you can put him in the right spots offensively. Maybe you kind of work him into like the dunker spot, or like even like to put him inside, right? So I think if you move like AD outside and LeBron, I think if you allow Jared Vanderbilt to work on the interior instead of having him have to make threes and teams leaving him open and stuff like that, I think that could be really beneficial. And then you get a monster defender on the other end. He is the most versatile defender other than AD on this team, in my opinion. He can hang with guards. He can, you know, basically guard 1 through 4. And I think, you know, Jared Vanderbilt is a special type of defender that you got to figure out a way to keep him on the floor offensively as well. And again, another guy that you're basically just getting back for nothing because he was already on the roster. So, you know, this is a really talented team. I mean, there's a little bit more players we could talk about. Jackson Hayes, you know, I think he could be your third string center. Maybe, I don't know, we'll have to see what it looks like, but it'd be interesting to see where Spencer Dinwiddie ends up. You know, at the time of recording this video, he's still a free agent. You know, he's kind of fallen from grace as far as the NBA and, you know, his role in it, you know, as we speak, but this is a talented offensive player as well who's kind of lost his way. Bronny James, another guy we'll have to see. You know, Dalton Connect, I think, fits into the bench rotation right away as a shooter. And I think, you know, pairing him with a guy like LeBron and AD on the floor at times could be useful as well. As I mentioned in the intro, it is imperative that you surround LeBron and AD with shooters. When you do that, good things happen on both ends. Those are the most notable players for me on the Lakers, and I think they can fit well together, especially with the added shooting from Dalton Connect, you know, and getting defenders back, like, you know, versatile defenders as well, like Jared Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent. Those are going to be huge additions to this team. We'll have to see about a trade. You know, there's still clearly a trade in play, you know, for the Lakers. That's not out of the realm of possibility. As I mentioned before, I think you give this team a couple months, you see how things go, and if things aren't working out in a specific area of your team that you can target with a trade, you have a couple tradable picks, you have a couple tradable assets like Jalen Hood-Schifino, like, you know, maybe some of these role players that you could, you know, involve in a deal with to match some contracts, and that is clearly still on the table. You know, I would doubt that they'll do anything massive, like, you know, they're not going to get Larry Markkinen. That's off the table for me, but it is in the realm of possibility that they could make a big time trade, you know, midway through the season or in a couple months into the season. You know, maybe not, again, Larry Markkinen scale, but, you know, could be a star type of player. We'll just have to see who's available, right? But, you know, that is certainly something on the table, although I don't expect that to happen because I think the Lakers right now are pretty deep as a team, and I think that's probably the way to do it in this organization. They also have young players they can develop, which they've talked about how they like that. But I think, again, this is a team that, you know, the coaching and additions of the role players and Dalton Connect, I think will change life in LA. No question about it. People are really underrating this JJ Redick hire and how great of an impact a great coach can have on a team. I'm not saying he's going to be a great coach. I would probably bet money on that he will, but, you know, of course we don't know that. I can't predict the future, but assuming he is, you know, that's my take, is that he will be, and he will change this team up to a, you know, top 4 type of seed talent, right? Like, they'll be up there with the Wolves, the Thunder, and the Denver Nuggets. No question for me. Like, talent wise, they're 100% there if they can figure out how to put all the pieces together. I think JJ Redick will do that, and I think people are sleeping on just how good the Lakers will be. I've actually heard people say that they're a play-in team or a fringe playoff team like they were last year. I think they've gotten so much better just by hiring JJ Redick. I'm telling you guys, you'll see. I hope I'm not wrong too, because I want LeBron to get another chip, but, you know, if he goes against my Sixers, that's not going to be, you know, that's gonna be a problem for me. So, Laker Nation, let me know down in the comment section what you're thinking about this video. I love doing these deep dives, man. Again, I say in all the deep dives, you know, we just did one on the Magic. You guys seem to really enjoy them. I try my best to stay informed with every team, but, you know, I talked about how in the last couple deep dives, if you are a Lakers fan, you know, there's just certain things you're gonna know that I don't because you follow the team closely every day. Let me know what some of those things are. You know, like for example, I'm a Sixers fan. I could tell you all the ins and outs and, you know, comings and goings of the Sixers franchise at any given moment because I follow them with a microscope every day, and I know there's a lot of Lakers fans that do that for the Lakers. I'm gonna miss a lot of things because I'm not using a microscope. I'm looking at, you know, the key moves, you know, what I think about them, the big things, right? Like, that's what I follow. So if you have a little bit more of a nuanced perspective about the Lakers, which I'm sure a lot of you guys do. You guys are really smart NBA fans. All the interactions I have, you guys are so smart. Definitely let me know down in the comments, because I'm always curious to learn from a fan's perspective of their team. I think it's really fun for me to meet new fan bases and engage with them and learn about their team, because that's part of the reason I do these videos, is to talk to you guys and, you know, learn things that I don't know already about certain fan bases and teams. So Laker Nation, let me know all that stuff down in the comments. I would really appreciate you guys for doing that. Thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. Again, I think this team is better than people think and are giving them credit for right now. People are frustrated that they're not making any moves and laughing at them right now for the Bronny James thing. They will pay. They will pay. This is not the first time LeBron has gotten criticism, and it won't be the last, and he'll make them pay. I promise you, they're going to be that good in the West, as you know, barring injury, barring anything crazy happening, barring JJ Redick being the worst coach ever, which he's not going to be. He's going to be great. This is a championship caliber team. I honestly think that. You know, if you have a different opinion, of course you can let me know down in the comments. I'm always open to, you know, again, engaging with you guys. Even if I disagree, we can talk about it, man. I'm wrong all the time, so if you have better information than I do, let me know. But other than that, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. We upload content just like this every day, and who knows, maybe we could be doing a deep dive on your favorite team in the next one, right? You know, I'm going to be uploading tomorrow and the next day and the next day. We upload every single day videos just like this on this channel, so you guys don't want to miss it. Make sure you guys subscribe. We'd love to have you. We're growing and grinding every day. I grind so hard on this channel. I basically work all the time to get these videos out every day, and you know, I really enjoy it. It's so amazing to me. I just love basketball, and again, we're trying to build something positive here and really special and with this channel. So make sure you guys join in now so that you can be a part of it when it's early. You can say you've been a part of Dehave Nation for a long time, so that would mean the world to me. Every time I see a new subscriber, you know, it means so much, because it really validates my work, and I appreciate all the positive feedback we've gotten on this channel and the negative feedback, the criticism, right? It honestly helps me get better. I'm not above criticism. I would never claim to be. Actually, I have gotten a lot of good criticism that have informed me and my content to be a little bit better each day. So anything you can offer in that regard too, as long as it's not like blatant hate, or you just don't like me, or you think my face is stupid, you know, stuff like that, you know, that's just not helpful. But if you have some legitimate thoughts on how I could be doing this better, let me know. I'm always open to that. But hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day today. Like I said, the Lakers, they're going to be better than you think. You know, it might not be the regular season. In the postseason, they have as good of a shot as anyone, in my opinion, in 2025. We'll have to see how it all works out and plays out, but that's kind of what I'm thinking now. I don't know. I think the Redick hire is super underrated, and, you know, maybe we should talk about it a little bit more. Like I said, deep dives, news, updates every day on the channel. Make sure you guys subscribe, drop a like on the video if you guys did enjoy it. Thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. I appreciate you guys so much and love you guys. Thank you guys so much for everything, all the support. Join Dehave Nation, man. We're growing and grinding every day. I'll catch you guys in the next one. This is your boy Dehave, and as always, peace.